It's been nearly 2 years since the last U.S. military plane left Afghanistan, messily ending the longest war in American history. But even before the last U.S. troops left the country, the Taliban had already taken control. Drawing on decades of on-the-ground reporting, Frontline's new three-part documentary investigates the missteps and the consequences of the war. Frontline correspondent Martin Smith joining us live this morning with more on how America's 20-year investment in Afghanistan ended up in Taliban victory. Martin, terrific reporting, by the way. It's great to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you.
So what struck you most about the Afghanistan you left in 2009 and the one you found 12 years later?
Well, it was, excuse me, it was more of the same. You know, we had gone in there high after 9/11 on a big emotional surge, wanting to take out al-Qaeda, understandably, and kill Osama bin Laden. Once that was achieved, about 10 years later, the mission really was getting lost in a spate of nation building that really wasn't going to take hold, and that, at least that was evident to me by 2009. The amount of corruption in the central government, the fact that there were many disparate groups vying for power in Afghanistan. It was a difficult mission, and in the end, I think the defeat was inevitable. We were always going to be leaving, and the Taliban were going to likely be the benefactors.
So how did we underestimate the Taliban, considering what we knew about them, outlasting the Soviets for a decade, fighting a civil war for a decade after that? I mean, we had to know that they were not going anywhere and more than willing to hide out and take over when the time was right.
That's right. And as long as they had the support of Pakistan next door, providing them with money and most importantly, sanctuary, they could come across the border with car bombs, with their attacks, and then retreat, get more bombs, and come back. We should have known better. We didn't. There's a great amount of idealistic optimism in the United States after World Wars I and II. The belief that we could go into countries and use our military power to achieve things that we really can't. I think the echoes of Vietnam are very, very strong here. We even applied some of the same military tactics that didn't work so well in Vietnam, in Afghanistan, namely counterinsurgency. We mistakenly bombed families and killed children, turning the local population on the ground against us, strengthening the Taliban. You're right that as long as we could see they defeated the British twice and the Russians before us, it took a lot of hubris to think that we could succeed where they hadn't.
So, Martin, talk about what you found when you went back to Afghanistan recently. You spent a lot of time on the ground, and we've seen women's rights take a huge hit as the Taliban takes over. You did talk to one man who says the situation has improved for him since the Americans left. So is the situation worse overall than when we first moved in there in 2001?
In many ways, it's better in that the war is over. I mean, this was my first question as I drove from the airport to into downtown Kabul when I arrived there after the fall, and in 2021. And the answer I got when I asked about how people felt about it is that most of them said they were very pleased that the war was over and the Americans were gone. At the same time, they were very uncertain of what was going to come next. They were very uncertain about the Taliban. Many of them detested the Taliban. You have to realize that the Taliban are a minority in the country, and while they do have a certain legitimacy across the country and support, especially in the countryside, they're a minority movement, and they're putting restrictions on people's daily lives that don't endear them to the population. So people are happy the war is over, but they're unhappy about the new rulers.
Frontline's Martin Smith, and this is some amazing world-class journalism. You need to check this out. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.